Thank you very much for joining us here today, taking time out of your valuable day. We're talking web strategy. It is the start of the year. It is time to realign. It is time to reassess where you're at from a digital perspective. I'm going to punch through a bunch of content. I'm going to keep it nice and tight. So roughly 15, 20 minutes max. That should be enough for you to eat your sandwich. And then by the end of that, ask any questions that you like. We're going to just open up the floor. If you have any sort of specific burning questions, then we'll aim to dig in to those. So I'm going to get stuck into it. Here is some more amazing acting that myself and the team have been doing. So that's the overarching message. There is to go into your digital strategy in 2021, understanding exactly what it is that you are wanting to achieve out of this. So when we start talking with a client, we ask a very simple question, and it might be just super obvious. It's like, why even have a website? What is a website going to do for you, and what are the outcomes that it's going to get for the business? And the reality is, we get a whole bunch of different answers. The reality is, you don't actually need a website. You need the results that the website generates. So typically business owners, they need two things. Either they want to elevate themselves as an expert or an authority in their chosen field or space, and maybe they want to get more people to actually raise their hand and get in touch, generate new leads and inquiries. In both instances, we need to make sure that there is a consistent brand and a voice from a digital perspective. And here's the problem. Going down the road, Googling website designer, and engaging someone to build you a website maybe just won't fix that, right? So a website alone won't fix that. What you need is a recipe that uses these key ingredients with a method for digital marketing success. So can I get a bit of a thumbs up there that you're sort of following my stream of thought so far? Cool. Really, the reality of the situation is that if digital is not your biggest marketing channel in 2021, you have a problem. And we're seeing this. We're seeing like Facebook shutting down lots of different businesses, Facebook pages, and maybe a lot of these businesses had typically been relying on traffic from Facebook. What we're seeing is 93% of internet sessions actually start with a search engine. So search needs to be a priority, but what we want is some diversity in our digital landscape as well. We don't want to be super reliant on any one platform, as we're seeing. If something gets switched off overnight, then there's issues and there's repercussions with that. So the lines are blurred. Typically, 5x5, we've been around for 15 years. All our work has historically come from referrals, okay? But what we've noticed in the last few years is we'll do a job, we'll get a good outcome, we'll get referred, but then what will happen is that prospect will go and they'll check us out digitally. They're going to look at all our digital assets, including our Google reviews. This is the social proof that's so critical nowadays. Our portfolio of work, obviously we're building websites, like that's a good leading indicator that we do good work and we get good outcomes for our clients, and all our other assets, our blog posts, our downloads, the audiobook version of our book, they're checking out all this stuff. So very much, even though that we've had a very warm referral from maybe a very happy client, they're still checking out all our digital assets. So it's critical that we are nailing, us as a thought expert and a leader are nailing these things. So when I was preparing for today's session, I put myself in, say, a business owner that's just like completely starting afresh. I'm starting afresh. I've just started a business. What would I do? And this is the approach that I would use. So we're foodies here at 555. We love our food. And I'm also very health driven, but I don't mind indulging in a nice big fat burger every now and then, right? So as the digital landscape continues to evolve, what we need to do is get really clear on the ingredients to ensure that you get found and you convert online. So we think a burger with a lot is the perfect analogy for a full and remarkable approach to your digital marketing. And in the first phase, the first 4 months is where we do the preparation. We get all the nice ingredients prepared up. We do the heavy lifting. We get it all together. So then in the next phase, this is where we're cooking up a storm. We piece together this mouth-watering burger. We got an egg in there. We got bacon. We got tomato. I like the hot chili sauce as well. That's all goes in there. And then in the final phase, this is where we yield the results. This is where we can lift it up and then bite into this thing. And typically in Pete's case, there's a bit of egg running down his chin, but a big smile on his face, right? So this is the analogy that we're using from a digital marketing perspective. So if we look at the ingredients, what's going into our burger? The first is and this is the bun, right? This is the customized web strategy. This is where the business magic is defined. What makes you unique? What is your true brilliance that we need to go out and plaster all over your digital assets? We identify the unique value proposition. What does the competitive landscape look like? And ultimately, this is the framework for your digital success. We then look at your logo and brand. So we define brand, and we're obviously very design focused organization. Scientifically, historically, businesses that invest in their branding achieve much better results than those that don't. So your brand is your foundation. If the brand isn't right, then everything built on top of that is going to topple over. So then typically that comes with a style guide and a rule book in terms of then how you communicate that through all your different digital assets. We have photography and video. So the real mindset here in 2021 is each and every business is now a media production house. So that's where you are the lead actors, the stars in getting your photography that's going to simulate the client journey. When they engage with you, they're checking out your digital assets first. We need to paint a picture as to what the client experience will actually look like. And that's where photography works so well. That's where video works so well. If we've got this amazing video where I can look you down the lens, I can translate my passion for whatever it is that I'm doing, and you communicate why you jump out of bed every single day and do what you do, it is a really powerful asset. So we need to make sure that these things are all in place. Copywriting is obviously a critical part of that. So not only to attract and keep the Google gods happy, but that's just half of the piece. We need to make sure that people are compelled, that it converts to actually raise their hand and want to get in touch. There's a compelling reason to do so. Website design. Obviously, this is the centerpiece of everything that we're doing. And this is about building a website, a high-performing website that is going to generate you leads and is going to be the hardest salesperson there in the business. And then finally, search engine optimization. We love search engine optimization. And through some specific tools, we can get really, really clear on the opportunities that exist out there in the world. We can research exactly what people are typing in to Google to potentially find your products and services. So then we can go and match a website's architecture, the content, all the technical stuff to then align to those potential opportunities. So most importantly, you've got reporting and you've got accountability around that as well. And finally, just ticking all the technical boxes, your hosting support, making sure the user experience is great, making sure that all your security stuff's taken care of. There's a plan in place for tweaks and iterations on the website. That's another critical component. So these are the key things that, as I talk through, and I'm going to get a little bit more granular in terms of each of these key steps, that you should be thinking, how am I performing in these different areas? What's more that I could be doing around that this year in 2021? So if we look at the first phase, this is the prep. This is where we're chopping the onions. We're getting the patty ready. We got the nice Swiss cheese on there. These are the key ingredients. And this is where we need to get very clear around who we are communicating with. So defining the buyer persona. What is an ideal client or clients? Because you might have different sets of different clients. So getting very clear and getting articulate around that. Defining the website structure. So this is the architecture. This is the different pages, the menu structure. How will the website actually hang together? And search is a critical determining factor in terms of what that should be. And it's finding a nice balance between the technical and the user experience. What we want to do is wireframe the primary views. So this is where, in a very simplistic fashion, we would workshop basically what are the key things that people are interested in? What is the content that'll exist? What's the hierarchy? What's the flow? All this sort of stuff is done in a very, very simple process, and that then sets the tone for the design view. We write the copy. So obviously copy is a massive influencing factor, not only from a search perspective, but from a conversion perspective. So either a client would write the copy or we would write the copy. We want to do that photo shoot. So as I said, we are in this media production mindset. We are the masters of our own destiny from an asset creation perspective. And you want to make sure at a minimum, we do at least 2 to 3 photo shoots every single year. That allows us to then scatter these images through our website, through our other marketing collateral, through our social media, everything we are doing. We've got this tremendous bank of just amazing photography. As I spoke about, your why video, translate why you get out of bed every single day and do what you do. Usually this is the centerpiece, sits there on the front of the homepage. And it allows people to, at a glance, establish rapport in a very leveraged fashion, so that when they do pick up the phone or they get in touch, they feel like they know you already. It's a super powerful tool. We then mock up the website. So sorry, logo and branding. If that's not right, then you need to get that right. Mocking up the website. This is the design process. And obviously that's all around using good design characteristics, simplicity, everything that goes into just the general sort of look and feel of the website. Layered into this phase, definitely needs to be a strong focus on SEO keyword research. So as I said, we've got different tools that allows us to actually identify opportunities in the marketplace and then let that inform what the actual architecture of the website looks like. You should then design and build your website, making sure that it's technically excellent on these things as well. So these things are exploding and continue to explode, and those numbers are just going to keep getting bigger. So mobile first approach to design is a critical one. Ticking all the technical boxes from an on-site SEO perspective, title tags, meta descriptions, content, that's then driven by the SEO as well from the keyword research perspective. And then finally, this final step in the prep phase is making sure that if you have an existing website, that there is a plan for success. So you might already have some runs on the board. What we want to do is swing from one branch to the next. So it's critical that you've got a good plan to do so. The end output of this phase, you should have a detailed plan for success. You know very clearly what the next 12 months have in store. You've got a ton of great visual assets. There's a 120-second video that's the centerpiece on your homepage. You've got your branding sorted. There's an SEO keyword plan, so you're very clear around where the opportunities exist. And then the centerpiece, an amazing high quality WordPress website with landing pages to ultimately drive traffic to. So WordPress just hit 40% of all websites on the internet are driven by WordPress. This technology is evolving. That's a little side fact that I just realized yesterday. It is an amazing tool, and it does everything you need to do from a business perspective. How are we going here? Can I get a little thumbs up that people, yeah, cool. All right, so the next phase is the cooking phase. This is where we're cooking up a storm. We're gonna craft together this burger, and this is where we're cooking up a storm. So we've launched the website out to the world, and this is where we're gonna fire up the traffic, okay? We need to make Google aware of this new website. And there's lots of just sort of different technical ways of doing that, but it's ultimately, hey, Google, here's an amazing new, well-structured, well-designed website, jam-packed full of useful, helpful content. And I want you to sit up and I want you to take notice of that. But in doing so, Google's going to give feedback. Okay, so this is where we would then monitor the website to check for issues, to check for errors, to check for dead links, to check for broken links, to do all this sort of stuff, right? And this is just a little bit of housekeeping that happens in the post-launch process, but it's critical from a technical perspective that this sort of stuff is done. We have conversion tracking. So conversion tracking is driven by a tool, a free tool called Google Analytics. And ultimately, this is the measurement for success. So it's all nice to go and get these vanity metrics from an increase in traffic, but are people actually converting? Are people buying? Are people filling out the forms? Are they opting in? Are they getting in touch and raising their hand? Google My Business. If you have a physical location, Google My Business is just such an important tool. It has such profound impact on our business. We've prioritized that in terms of extracting Google reviews from happy customers to basically provide that social proof. It is just such an easy way to turn on traffic to your website. So then from there, we want to build a system for reviews. How can we, and in sort of, in the feedback loop, as you go and deliver awesome products and services for your clients, how can we extract more of those so that it can compound and snowball? There needs to be a plan in and around content publishing. So this is where, now that the site's active, you've done a whole bunch of thrashing up front, it's out to the world. We don't just sit on our hands and pause. We want to make sure that we keep that momentum going from a content perspective, because Google will love you for it. We're big fans of Google Ads retargeting. We did a whole webinar on this last month. It's just such a cheap, cost-effective way of being able to get re-engaging with people who have visited your website but maybe haven't taken action, and just generally keeping your brand front of mind for a very small investment every single month. And then while it is firing up from a search engine optimization perspective, maybe you want to throw a few dollars at AdWords just while the site gets indexed. So the output from this phase in months 5 to 8 is you've got a baseline. You now have some data, and what you should see is an increase in traffic. So as Google indexes the site and as people start interacting with it and it starts doing what it needs to do, you should see an increase in traffic. And the way that you're obviously going to do that is through the monthly analysis. You're tracking traffic, you're tracking conversions. What you also want to be doing is tracking your position of those keywords. So at the start of the month, maybe a business was at position, say 12 for carpet Gold Coast. And then at the end of the month, they've reached position 5 because Google have made adjustments and iterations to where they deem you compared to your competitors. So what you can actually do is track those positional movements in Google. So that's what you should be doing from a search perspective. And then, as I said, at a minimum, 2 pieces of content added to your website every single month. And this might seem like a lot, but there's sort of strategic and clever ways that maybe you can leverage existing activities that you're doing in the business. This whole webinar strategy that we're using is largely driving our content strategy. So we'll then go and create a big long form article off the back of this around website strategy. I've already done the critical thinking in and around the concepts, the research, all that sort of stuff. We've got all the visuals. We can then put together just an amazing, nice blog post that adds a ton of value without a whole bunch more effort. So that's just an example of how you can be creating more content. And finally, serving up the burger. This is where we can pick it up. We can bite into it, wrap our lips around it. And in this phase, this is really where you see some momentum. So from an SEO perspective, search engine optimization, this is where you see a really nice uptick. Conversions should be happening. We can utilize different tools such as heat mapping and actually recording users' sessions to see what people are actually doing on the website in real time. So all their data is hidden, but we can actually record those sessions so that we can understand the user experience and where maybe they're getting blocked, what's happening, where the stoppages are, all that sort of stuff. And these are the little 1% tweaks and changes that we're going to do, done consistently over time, are going to help from a general conversion perspective. Creating more content. The content never ends. Content is limitless. It needs to be keep adding it to the website. Maybe you want to look at some paid sources as well. So if AdWords is working, throw some more dollars at that. If paid social is working, throw some more dollars at that. All the traffic, though, ultimately is going back to your website. The output should be upwards traffic growth, steady influx of new leads and inquiries. You're still tracking all your traffic and conversions. And happy days, we have got a ton of page 1 listings in Google based on this awesome content that is being created. So if someone came to me and said, John, what would you do in 12 months from a digital strategy perspective? They would be the pieces of the puzzle. So a few overarching themes, and I know we're coming up to time, so I'm going to just punch through this. Digital marketing is a marathon, not a sprint. That's a real mindset thing, and I think that's where people get disappointed. We want to fail forward fast. So we do something, we learn from it, we iterate, then we improve. What works for one business may or may not work for another, but in 15 years of doing this, the themes and the concepts are largely the same. And like most things in life, consistency is the key. So keep showing up every day, doing the work, and it will compound and it will grow. So that is a rather unsettling picture of a half-eaten burger. I'm not going to linger on that too much, but here's the taste test. These are the results, okay? Cross Carpets, this is a local family-owned business here at the Gold Coast, 4 generations. They had a rather ordinary website going back 12 months ago. We built them a new site. This was launched April 2020. The world was ending with the pandemic, coronavirus, but you can see the progress that they've made. This is pretty awesome, and this is generating them a lot of great results. Automotive Hospital, they're a prestige car servicing business there in Haberfield in Sydney. Same deal, ordinary website. We set up the architecture of the website. There is a ton of content in here. They now hold so many page 1 listings. So that was launched in December 2019, started 2020. And same deal, there's been some dips and troughs, obviously, just with what's happening out there in the world and people's ability to service their cars and all that sort of stuff. Up to almost 1,800 uniques every single month. Crest Accountants, local Gold Coast accounting firm. I've been around for 30 plus years. Never really had a decent site that sort of housed all their information or IP. Site launched at the start of 2020, same deal, up to 1800. So you can see in this journey, you're always going to have little peaks and troughs. It's going to go up and down as the algorithm changes and different competitors come into the market. But ultimately, it's heading in that upwards direction. So that is the meat of what I wanted to cover today. I would love any burning questions, any feedback, any comments.
You've made me hungry.
Yeah.
It is that time of day, Pete.
There you go. Other than the Vegemite sandwich.
Yeah.
Much
Yeah.
No questions.
No questions. Has this resonated with people? Does this give anyone any ideas around maybe where some gaps or deficiencies are in?
Too thorough.
Too thorough. Okay.
Thorough.
I don't know whether it's a good or a bad thing. It's a smiley face. So digesting the information. That's great.
A lot of information there. Yeah.
Yeah, there is. And that's the typical thing. It's like we talk web strategy. There's a few pieces of the puzzle.
Can be overwhelming, can seem a bit overwhelming, but you know, it's a moving entity, isn't it? Like websites.
It is, Chrissy. So what we will do at the just as a follow-up email, we'll send this this checklist and basically like go through, do a self-audit. What have you got on your whiteboard, your plans for 2021? See where the gaps are, see where the deficiencies are. Maybe in the chat, if everyone just wants to give us like their number one takeaway from today, that'd be really helpful just to understand where people's heads are at and maybe where their actual problems lie. So number one takeaway, while we do that, if anyone wants help with this, so really like this is the stuff you should be doing. Most business owners are busy delivering their brilliance to the world from a products or a services perspective. If people need assistance and they want this done for you, that's why we exist in the world. So all those case studies are examples of a 12-month journey with a client to basically get them awesome results.
John, we just got a question here from Michael.
Yes.
What if he's not ready to do all of this? He knows that he has several gaps in his structure. You know, how to tackle the beast, I suppose, would be the question.
It's a good question.
Bit time poor as a business owner, got lots going on.
So like you think about what you can get done with the resources and what's going to be the blockage. It's always the website. So get your website sorted, but make sure that you spend that time in those early phases. Like if search is something that is critical, make sure there's some time spent understanding how search engine optimization works, how it's going to relate to your business, where are the opportunities, and that's going to form up a whole bunch of stuff around the site architecture, around the content, around the calls to action, all that sort of stuff. So that would be my advice. Get your website sorted, and then you can look at a content marketing strategy. You can look at, a paid strategy, all that sort of stuff.
Can I add to that as well, John? I think it's more about working out what your end goal is and what everything looks like. Like,
spot on.
Are you expanding your business to multiple sites? Are you keeping it small? How much staff do you have to support your whole strategy? There's a lot of critical thinking that a business owner needs to do before they embark on all of this stuff, because we know from the work that we do that we generate a lot of business. So you need to have a look at what your whole pipeline is, all of that sort of thing. So there's a lot of critical thinking that needs to go in, like, before all of this. So that's another thing. Yeah.
Michael's just popped up again there. John saying, I'm about to restructure, but I'd like to chat about the end goal. He's got multiple businesses due to the border. So Yeah.
That's another really good point. So yeah, Queensland, New South Wales, looking to maybe come into Queensland. So Michael, we might have to get you in and have a bit of a chat, I think.
Cool. Was there another question in there? Was there a third question? Or was that it?
No,
it's
that was all from Michael.
Yeah.
Renee said lots she could be doing. Number one takeaway.
Yeah.
Plenty to be done.
Yeah, there's always more. And like that's a mindset thing. It's just like do what you can with the resources that you've got, and you're at the point exactly where you need to be in life right now. Be methodical, chip away at it, keep kicking the can forward, and it will happen over time. So sometimes I think like there's the overwhelm. It's like I got to do so much. It's just like no, just do one thing and just keep doing it. So we're going to do more of this sort of stuff. We're coming up to time. The next one, we're talking about digital branding. We have an amazing human being that works here, a guy called Sam Horn. He has over 12 years experience in the design world. He's our lead designer. And we're going to be talking about how design can ultimately generate you a return on investment, strategies for consistency, what are the characteristics and foundations of a great brand. So we will make sure that everyone is notified of that. That's coming up on the 18th of March, 12 noon. Send us a little love note. If you are finding this helpful, we're finding it super helpful. We're just trying to eat our dog food, deliver value. Keep showing up. Love to see you. Thank you for your time and have an amazing day. That is all.
Thank you.